Welcome everyone to our Thursday weekly events. Uh, Happy Thursday. Good morning, good evening. You are from which location? Welcome to our IterateUX event. Okay, so today we have a presentation day 2 on our UX design challenges. So, we arrange a UX design challenge from last month for entire 4 weeks, wherein people can come together, work on one design challenge from on design thinking process, wherein people have worked on from like research, define, ideate, and test all 4 phases, and they have worked on a nice project in this 4 week. So today we have a second day of the presentation wherein two teams will be presenting their challenge which they have worked on. And we have Halliq with us today. He will be providing the reviews and feedback on the work that they have worked on. Okay. Moving ahead. So the people who all are new to this community or new to this event, I will go ahead and give you a quick brief about like who we are as a IterateUX community. So we are a community IterateUX from UX designers to UX designer, wherein we provide a platform wherein people can come together, learn, connect, and grow in their UX industry and their career. So we do have a weekly events like Thursday. Every Thursday we have events on different topics, workshops or something like that. We do arrange whiteboard challenges as well, wherein people can sharpen their interview skills, communication, collaboration while working on any problem statement in one dedicatedly one time constraint period or something like that. Then we arrange design challenges as well. If you have seen like our current UX design challenge that we arrange in the past, we arrange UI design challenges as well, wherein people can come, they can connect with other people, they can participate individually or in a team, they can work on some areas where they can practice their soft skills and hard skills as well. So these things. Then we do have a ticketing system on our Discord platform. Feel free to raise a ticket if you need any review on your portfolios and resume. We have our mentors with us who will be reviewing your resumes and portfolio. So all these things that we do have a Discord platform wherein you can find different channels and connect with each other, get helps, like help others as well. Feel free to use that. We do arrange sometimes coffee chat and podcast as well on our Discord platform. Moving ahead. So these are our upcoming events. Next Thursday, we will have our presentation day 3rd, wherein other teams will be presenting their design challenges that they have worked on. And next Thursday, we will be announcing the winners on this design challenge. So there will be top 2 teams who will get some nice prizes and those kind of stuff. And the participant will also get something. So stay tuned and join our next Thursday event. Okay. Also, now in today's session, I would like to announce one more thing. So we will have one user research challenge as well. Might be in. We will start that in end of October somewhere like that. Stay tuned with our community. We will be announcing those areas on our Discord platform and on our social media platforms as well. Meanwhile, Alice, our moderator, our today's moderator, she will be sharing some of the links on the chat window. Feel free to check out that. We will be sharing some volunteering opportunity, mentors opportunity. Feel free to register there. She will be sharing networking sheet as well. Feel free to connect with each other. Yep, those are the things. And if you have some good learnings and any areas, feel free to share on your social media platforms. Tag us as IterateUX, tag our mentors as well, so that others will also know about all these activities. Okay, so before we begin, unmute yourself if you would like to say something. We will have Q&A session at the end for 15 minutes. You can unmute yourself at that time. If you have any question, meanwhile, feel free to text it in the chat window. We will check out that. We have every Thursday event. Yep, engage in our Discord platform and be kind and have fun. Okay. So here we have a support us link. So as you all are aware of that, like we are a non-profit organization. Everyone, whoever is working with us, we all are volunteer over here. If you would like to donate something for our community, feel free to donate us. It will help our community to run different kinds of events, different workshops, and design challenges and those kind of stuff. So that's it. Now let's get started. I will stop sharing and I will hand over it to Team 8, who will be presenting today first. Go ahead, Team 8. All the very best.
Hi, my name is Michael Amashruba, representing Team 8 for the IterateUX Design Challenge. So our team chose to redesign the Steam gaming interface with a consideration for accessibility. With me, we have here in the Zoom call, we have Tanika Robertson and Christina James, and we were paired with the wonderful Ashley Cooper as our mentor. So for the challenge, we chose the redesign of the Steam online PC gaming store, the interface, and we decided to do a special consideration for accessibility. And so we came up with the original problem statement of a PC gamer who uses Steam to purchase games, but feels frustrated with the excessive steps during the checkout process. This includes the redundant screens and having to go from one menu out to another or back all the way to home to go from one statement to the next. So our goal statement was to redesign the checkout process and allow users to find and purchase games more efficiently, and then removing those redundant screens and optimizing the entire process, thereby reducing some of that user frustration. And then we decided we would measure the effectiveness by comparing the time to check out for finding specific games. We went through the standard phases of research, define, ideate and prototype, and then testing. And so in our first phase of research, we actually found that we had about 30 people respond, and we found out that they actually use Steam a bit less than we anticipated, because most of them use Steam as a downloading client and then launch their games outside of Steam. They had a range of income and a range of ages, and they lived across the world. From our survey, we found that a lot about our users, their wants and their needs, their typical use patterns. We asked them what some of the challenges were when using Steam, some of its successes, and then how they tried to overcome those challenges. And then we asked them to go through their process for finding a game and downloading it. We found, based on our survey and after completing a heuristic evaluation, that majority of our users using Steam to access and buy and download games, but also manage those game downloads, and they wanted to have an expanded control over the interface itself. Many of them actually reported that they avoid using Steam when they do not have to, if they can find other means to find whatever they're looking for, whether it be information or content. And then they also use Steam for its variety of content, including its community tab. And then here's a look at Steam's current homepage and kind of the navigation that one goes through and the amount of content presented. An expanded look at the current Steam UI shows that it has 4 different navigational menus shown to the user at once. And the hero banner focuses on promotional items. And we kind of got a sense from our users that this was a little bit too much to take in, as well as it wasn't the information they wanted presented to them on their homepage. So evaluating how the UI presented the content, we said that it showed that every possible navigation is visible from the homepage. Some of the pages were not combined, and then they had the independent lists or non-collapsible, which led to an inconsistent brand identity on certain pages where they had missing links. So for our solutions, we decided to make the left-sided list collapsible and move it. We decided to remove 2 of the navigational bars, make the top header sticky so that both the header and the search would move with the user on scroll, and then give it a consistent brand identity, allowing you to navigate anywhere you needed to from any page. We also found that putting the highly accessible or the high yield information and making it more easily accessible for our users gave them a much better experience. So we completed a competitive analysis on a lot of the top tier of opponents in the field. And we found that they generally had a consistent brand identity, and they had very, very tight navigation, allowing users to know what pages they can get to from every page. This brought us to our define stage. Here, we decided to refine both our problem statement and our understanding. So we decided to explain what are core needs and behaviors of our users. They care about cost, and they're willing to do research and compare multiple games on other sites outside of Steam so that they're able to be in Steam for the least amount of time. They're often confused about what comes with each version of a game and the information presented. And they often are using Steam for its emphasis on sales. So following the different prices and finding the best available price is very important to them. With this being said, a lot of them will wait and watch a sale to make the purchase at the best time, and they'll compare it with the competitors to Steam. And a lot of them will keep a list of potential games. That way they can spend their money in the best way. Our refined problem statement became that Nick is a casual PC gamer who needs an easily navigational way to find sales and download games because the current system is frustrating and full of excessive steps. From here, we detail and outline Steam's current user flow, which cannot be changed for buying any singular game. And once you've added a game to your cart, you must restart the process to add a secondary one. This being said, we decided to shorten our user flow and allow users to buy in games and add them directly to their cart from the homepage, decreasing the number of steps from one game and allowing you to do multiple games at the same time. During our ideation and prototyping, we decided to start with Crazy Eights. And from there, we moved into our lo-fi wireframes. We decided to focus on the homepage, the search feature, and the game details page. And then we really focused in on our user pain points. So knowing that our problem was the navigation and the excessive steps, we decided to try to tackle the content overload, the excessive steps, and the navigation, which led to creating a style guide, allowing our users to quickly identify the information. And our user flow reduced the user clicks from 20 to 11 to quickly purchase 2 games, and reduce the screen navigation from 7 screens to 1 screen for purchasing 1 game if you find it on the home screen. This is the current Steam homepage as opposed to ours. And this is a look kind of at the current search within Steam. Before a better look, I would like to just go to our design, our prototype. So here you see we removed the promotional material to focus it on games and allowed it to be a carousel to allow our user to kind of experience the hot drops as they come. We only have 2 navigational lists, with the left side being collapsible to allow the user to have greater control. One of being the highly accessible or high yield information wanted to be accessible, we decided to incorporate a mini summary for each game on hover, telling the users if the games are single player, multiplayer, have crossplay, what systems they're available for. And we implemented our style guide to denote high yield sales versus normal sales and free games. On search, we would allow our users to bookmark and gift the games to others, as well as go to a full detail summary page or directly add it to their cart. If someone wanted to know a little bit more information about a game, they could click on any game on tile and see a brief summary, add it to cart, or from there even, they could come to the full details page, see similar games, get the full explanations. And we decided to keep these lists and menus collapsed by default in order to not present the user with too much information once again. We'd have a game versions tab presented first in order to show what all comes with each version of the game and highlighting which version the user is selecting. And again, all of our lists are collapsible and expandable on each page, giving our user the same navigation and a lot of brand identity and consistency. For testing, we decided to go back to those users who answered our survey and run them through the prototype, as well as ask them specific questions. and many of them had a positive experience. They felt that the collapsible categories presented the information much better. The hover feature was something that they all highly enjoyed, and it presented to them the information that they actually would go outside of Steam to normally access. Our next steps will be designing and implementing a cart function to slide over from the side of the screen in order to smooth the flow of navigation and the payment screen. Design and test the accessibility of the design across the app system, and then screen for and interview users who use accessible features in gaming already in order to see how our redesign worked. Thank you for watching.
Oh, that's great. Really nice, really nice. I really like your work. And now I can see that you guys have like your team has worked on the gaming. Really nice. And I can say like in our last session, we were having 3 different projects. One team worked on the healthcare, other team worked on the accessibility, the third team worked on the education. And this was the fourth one, which I saw now. Amazing. So we saw different all together, all the projects. So yep, great job. Halik, now it's your turn. Share your feedback.
Sure, yeah. If you can go to the beginning of your deck, I mean, initially you mentioned that the problem statement of this particular Steam redesign project was all about checkout process, right? So that's what my expectation was set. So I was like really happy that you're gonna point out issues about account selection or purchase. How do they make their decisions of like the different stages of e-commerce or like online consumer behavior, right? Where users identify a need, then they search for information, then they evaluate options, then they make a purchase decision, then they actually do the purchase. Then they actually go through the checkout process, then post-purchase. So that is the different stages, right? So checkout actually kind of belongs to the purchase and making the payment and post-purchase. So yeah. So the research that you showed me, you did not have much about the whole checkout. So that's where like I was a little bit stumped because initially you set the expectation here saying that even the problem statement and the goal statement, you said you're going to redesign the checkout process. So that's one thing which I want to probe about is that, like, did you guys do any research on checkout experiences? And what kind of insights did you guys gather from doing those initial researches specific to checkout? Because you mentioned here the challenge and the problem statement and the goal statement is all about checkout. So that's my question for you. Yeah, I just want to give you a chance to like, yeah, in case if you guys have data and did not add it there, then maybe you can go back and you can change your presentation where you can add specific insights about checkout, because if it is not about checkout, if it is more about purchase and purchase behavior of users trying to find out and add a product to the cart and everything, then maybe you guys need to retweak your problem statement and goal statement. So that would be my first feedback, because here it says checkout. So I was all thinking about, okay, they're going to talk about how users would add it to the cart. They're going to talk about how users are going to fill up the form, how they're going to review their orders, like what kind of labeling and copy that they're using, which is different from the current Steam's checkout process, what kind of user interactions and distractions which could make users currently deviate from completing the purchase, and also which can help them convince them to complete the purchase, right? So any kind of like field design and features, because so that is what like I'm more interested on, because I have like a very big interest on e-commerce. I've worked in e-commerce for so long, so that's why. So if your focus is not checkout process, then you guys need to adjust the problem statement and goal statement. But if that is the focus, then maybe in the research I would love to see some more data on how did you guys do research about the checkout process, what kind of insights did you guys gather, and how those insights helped you in converting those designs, right? So that is what I'm more interested in seeing. And my second question was like, if you go to the survey form, yeah. So the survey, I just want to ask, like how many users did you guys speak to? Like where was the users based out of? Is it a specific region? Is it a country? Is it like friends and family? Because you guys had some statistics. I think the surveys, you guys had few stats from your survey. Is it like slide number 3? I think it's slide number 3 or 4. Yeah.
So we had 30 people respond. The survey was done online, so our users across the world.
Okay.
And I did just want to point out briefly that the problem statement, I agree with you about the checkout process, but the problem statement, we did refine it based on our actual testing. We refined the problem statement to remove the checkout process because the data we were given did not say that the checkout process was what was most needed by our users.
Fair
so
enough.
This is our refined problem statement.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I just want to confirm that because for me it just seemed like, oh, he spoke about checkout, but the research did not have any checkout, right? So that's why I asked you that question. But as long as you guys, fix the problem statement and you focused on different solution, that's totally fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. In terms of the survey, I'm not a big fan of this surveys because for me, mainly, I'll tell you like what's my problem with this survey. It's good that you did that, but I think you can get this data over the internet, like how many users Steam have, what kind of demographics that they have. I think you can get this data over internet by using any of the secondary market data tools. It could be like Statista, it could be like CB Insights, or any of such type of tools you can use, and probably you can get this data. Probably you could have used survey or to ask different set of questions. That's what like I was hoping, because again the total number of users, how often they use it, how many games they download. I think these questions can be like answered via a simple Google search, where I think there are like a lot of online tools and platforms which can provide you this data. That's just a recommendation for you. Maybe in future you don't have to like use the service to ask any sort of like those kind of basic questions, because those data are available freely. So maybe you can spend your effort on asking like some more other questions which you need much more clarity on, right? So that is my recommendation for surveys in future. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Some open-ended questions too that are on the screen right now.
Sorry?
We had some open-ended questions too.
Yeah.
The results.
Yes.
Okay.
You guys do have, but
just
it's because like for me, I think I said this in the last session as well, like surveys, unless you're paying like big bucks, like $20, $30, users are not ready to answer all your questions, right? Because that's why we usually like limit the surveys to like $10, $15. Sorry. If you're gonna pay $10, maybe you can ask like 10 questions max. That's all you can do. This is for paid survey. I'm assuming you guys did free survey. I'm not sure.
Free survey.
Yeah.
So that means users might not be like 100% true to the I mean, they are not given like actual answers, right? They must have did some like they might have not even like read the questions properly. So that's where I come from. If the number of questions increases, if you have 10 questions, then users might not pay too much attention. That's why like, oh, I have 10 questions, so maybe if I can already get answers for the first 3 questions that you guys have online, then you can replace those 3 questions with some other questions. So that's all recommendation I'm providing. Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
I think having like open-ended questions, good. That is good. But replacing questions which can be answered by alternate means, then yeah, sure, go ahead. And open-ended questions, it's good to have, but my serious recommendation is also limit the number of open-ended questions, because again, users now they have to think and type an answer, which they hate in doing in surveys. Like nobody likes to sit and type answers, right? Because like think about yourself. Like when was the last time that you guys had a survey open and you guys like sat and thought for 5 minutes before you guys like typing out an answer, right? No, right? You guys would type something quick, which would like, so that's where I come from, because we also do research and we also fill out forms for surveys, right? So that is where I'm coming from. So survey questions is always good if you provide them like choice of answers to pick from. It's a lot more easier for them to pick those answers than having open-ended question. Unless you're paying them money, they would not be committed to do that. Yeah, that's why.
Thank you.
Other than that, I mean, I focused mainly on the research, because like as I was saying, I was all about like checkout, and that's where. But I thought your designs were pretty cool. They were nice. They were like a lot more simple, just to see, because I'm a Steam user as well. So compared to the current interface, I thought your store page was like pretty cool, simple. So good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
one last
Sorry.
feedback. Sorry, before I finish. In terms of your heuristic evaluation that you guys did on the current Steam, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I see you guys have some of the findings and some of the recommendations on like left and right. One more recommendation I would make is, since this is like you guys walking a person through the whole process, I would recommend maybe like highlighting which are the biggest problem areas. Like if you guys did like a whole heuristic evaluation on the Steam side, maybe you guys identified like 30 issues, 40 issues, and if you guys are using certain heuristics or certain criteria to actually do this evaluation, it will be nice to see, hey, 40% of the problems that we identified belong to the navigation. 30% of the problems that we identified belong to accessibility. So it will be nice to see that big chunk of, like, because always this is something I always tell to people. It's really nice to see findings and recommendations and insights, but always putting a quantifiable number next to it makes it a little bit more strong. Okay, yeah, it might not be the perfect number, but it's still okay, because as this is where like our expertise comes in, and we are figuring out all of these issues. And if there are like 20 issues out of 30 which belongs to navigation, then it's good to point it out. Like, you know what, you seriously have an issue. Like 30% of your problems are all belongs to navigation, so that means they have to go fix their navigation, right? So I would also recommend that, like, yeah, probably like point out the problem areas and tell the person like how much percentage or how many issues you figured out in that particular area. It always helps the people who are actually like reading it to understand how serious of a problem that is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
But
That's great.
awesome, great job. Thank you guys. Thank you for sharing this.
Really good job, Team 8. Really nice presentation, and really nicely you guys have worked on. And thank you, Halliq, for providing a detailed feedback on the on the presentation. It's like how to utilize the secondary research and how to utilize the survey that we are providing. So there is a difference between that and how we can work more efficiently. That Halliq has given a really very good explanation on that. So thank you, Halliq, for that. Great. Okay, so before we move ahead, I would like to announce one more area over here. We will be having user research design challenge in October, and which will be on real projects. You will get chance to work on a real project with the mentors, with stakeholders, and on detailed research methodologies. So stay tuned with our community on our Discord. We will be announcing that on Discord and our social media as well for the registration. So you will get a chance to work on the research project as well to showcase in their portfolio. Okay, so now we will go ahead with Team 15. Team 15, are you ready?
Yes.
Great. Perfect. All the very best. Can go ahead.
So for our UX challenge, we came up with a website called Counter Us. We are Team 15, which consists of Jasmine, myself, Maggie, and Only. So our project overview was that we came up with a health website. The duration of the project was for 4 weeks. Our problem statement is, with the spread of misinformation surrounding COVID vaccines, we need to inform citizens about the myths and debunk misconceptions to protect each other from the spread of the disease and misinformation. And our goal was to design a digital learning platform for a local audience. So these are the roles that we played. We all acted as UX designers, but we also did some research, including user interviews, secondary research, competitive analysis, and other additional UX artifacts in order to get to the eventual goal of a high-fidelity wireframe with some usability testing. So the summary of our research is, before we started doing any interviews, we first sought to see if there is any existing information that we could use to guide our decision as to how we are going to solve our problem. And based on our research, we found that some users are skeptical about the COVID-19 vaccine due to the limited research and testing of the vaccine. Many of the main concerns from users believed that the vaccine was not safe to be administered and can make you sick, or worse, alternate your DNA, cause fertility problems, autism, or even as far as conspiracy theories, such as having chips or magnets implemented into your body. There are several sources that Jasmine and I looked at, which described some of the concerns, conspiracies, and also ways to address getting information to more skeptical individuals around COVID-19, namely appealing to their sense of community, their connection to their immediate family members, or the effects that not getting vaccinated could have long-term on the economy. So after we completed our secondary research, we then decided to do 4 user interviews. All 4 members had an age range from 30s to 40s. 2 were female and 2 were male. And some of their pain points included a general lack of trust in the government. They didn't feel that they had their best interests at heart. One participant perceived government collusion in regards to the vaccine, that they were all in it together in order to help these pharmaceutical companies such as Pfizer make money, along with a perception of limited research and testing on the vaccine due to how quickly it was released, various health concerns. Another participant only got vaccinated because he was required to by his job. And the existing verbiage around information dealing with the COVID-19 vaccine tended to target people who were more college educated. So if you did not have that level of education, or say you have a learning disability with reading that kind of information, it can be difficult to figure out exactly what it is you need to know around why you should get vaccinated. So with that research, only created a persona and user story. And this is William, who is a businessman who wants to know more information and data and the log-tie side effects about the vaccine so that he can get the vaccine and be protected from COVID-19. Then with the information that we gathered, first, a competitive analysis was done to look at the existing approaches to teaching people about COVID-19, from government sites to public service videos and a channel that is dedicated on YouTube to covering scientific research and how they took different approaches to informing people about COVID-19. And combined with that information, we then came up with an empathy map, which dealt with what people were saying, what they were thinking, what they felt, and what they were doing in regards to the vaccine. And then we created an affinity map to categorize the different thoughts about the vaccine, why they didn't trust in it, on and so forth. Eventually, we evaluated our priorities based on what we were seeing from the information that we gathered. And then we came up with 2 how might we statements, namely, how might we encourage skeptical users to trust the COVID-19 vaccination, and how might we provide clear and concise information about the COVID-19 vaccine. And eventually we realized that we needed to narrow down our how might we question further. And due to the time constraints of the challenge, we decided to focus on the second question. So with that information, we then created wireframes to determine our approach to our product, which ended up being a small website to gather basic information about the COVID-19 vaccine. So these are the Crazy 8 diagrams that Jasmine and myself did to cover our different approaches. Hers tended to focus more on like the specific wireframe, whereas I took more of an experimental approach with the different ideas that I came up with. And then we combined aspects of both, voted as a team to decide where we would focus, which eventually turned into the low-fidelity prototype, which shows the general flow and pages of the site, going from the initial information about the vaccine to covering facts and myths of a vaccine, and a quiz to test the knowledge that the viewer has so far about COVID-19 and the vaccine. Finally, we created a high-fidelity prototype to give an idea as to how we would approach handling such a website. And now I will show you this prototype. So as you see here, it's just a general overview, giving a little bit of information. You can click this link, which will take you to a US site to help you schedule your vaccine. And then you have the overview, a quiz, and other additional information in that regard. So in conclusion, our findings were users like to read concise and clear information about COVID-19. Providing basic information builds interest in learning more about vaccination. Users liked that in our prototype that each of the navigation and footer buttons scrolled up and down to the section so that it was easy to track where exactly you were on the site. With the facts page, it was not too clear what to expect with that section of the page, and that users would like more in-context information about the tags covering the different topics that cover the myths around COVID-19. But the two biggest challenges we ran into with doing this UX challenge, one was narrowing down what exactly you wanted to cover because of the wide scope of the challenges around informing people about health information, especially such a sensitive topic as COVID-19. And because of the time constraints around dealing with defining our statement, it limited the time we had to test the prototype, namely do functional testing before conducting the usability test of said prototype. So our next steps would be make sure to do more usability testing to refine the design further. We've done a bit of moderated testing with 2 participants, but getting more feedback would help us with making sure that we are going in the right direction of our design and to cover more paths and needs of users. But with our project, we realized that there is a need for a source of info for COVID-19 vaccination that shows essential information with clear and neutral presentation. Thank you for your time.
Cool, awesome, Maggie. Can I just quickly go to the beginning? Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I understand this is the COVID season, but I just want to ask you, did you guys think only about COVID, or did you guys think about like generally all type of vaccines, or so that it can be scaled in future? My biggest like thought about the solution and everything is like will this solution be seasonal? Because like once the whole COVID thing settles down, like what will happen to this solution, right? Because because for me the solution is straight and simple. Like what you did was like good, so I don't even have to like go deep into the whole solutioning, because like what you did seems to be like, yeah, fine, it solves the problem that you pointed out here, but is your intent is to create a temporary solution? Because like let's just imagine maybe like in a couple of years the whole COVID thing settles down and everybody's like vaccinated, there's no more issues with COVID and stuff. Like what would happen to your product, right? Like are we going to sunset that? So my biggest feedback or thought process, at least I'm thinking in my head, is like probably like do you think there is value in addressing this solution, rather not just specific for COVID vaccine, like maybe for like all vaccines or any type of medication that might be like, which are being like invented, which are currently being tested, which people need. You think there's a value in probably like approaching in that angle, so that people, if they have questions about any kind of medication, any kind of vaccine, they can come to your website and they can answer those questions or something, and then they can get the information, be clear before they proceed with it could be booking, or it could be so that is my biggest concern, because if I was a professional judge in a hackathon event or something, that would be the first question that I ask you, like, how is this solution scalable? Because it seems like a temporary solution. So I just want to hear your thoughts on that. That's all. Because as I said, the solution seems to be like straightforward. I don't have any issues with that at all. It's just the whole concept itself. Like what are your thoughts on scalability? Or this solution is purely intended for temporary COVID use only?
Well, how I see it is like, even let's say 5-10 years from now, right? It would still be useful to have a source about COVID. If nothing else, it could be kind of like a time capsule as to what was going on while this pandemic was occurring, because there have been other sites and volunteer efforts to cover similar efforts, but more so around general safety issues around COVID-19. If nothing else, it could act as an archive to be like, hey, in this situation, here's how you can handle this. But the idea about scaling it to cover, just general vaccine information is pretty, honestly, it's a good idea. And as far as like scaling the site, I guess one possibility would be, instead of just addressing like vaccine misinformation, you could go in another direction and do something like, you're familiar with Snopes.com, right? That might be a bit out of scope of our current program, but just like a current problem that we're trying to solve, but like just in general, like trying to address like conspiracy theories and all that, but do it in a way that it doesn't come off like, oh, we're here to lecture you and give you facts and we're fact checking you and everything, just to be like, hey, here's what you may have heard, but this is what's actually going on. Just put it in a way that's concise, neutral, and opens up maybe a skeptic to hearing out what you have to say.
Fair enough. I have a question about your secondary research. If you can go to that slide. One of the biggest recommendations for me is, again, if anybody, not just you, any of the teams or people doing secondary research, always quote, like, how did you do your secondary research, right? What are the sources? Because how would I know? If it is secondary research, I'm going to assume you guys did some Googling, you guys used maybe some data platform to get the data. It could be a research article, right? So how would I know whether those are something which I can trust, right? So always quote your secondary research methods and what are your sources, because that will really build credibility, like saying that, oh, it's not something, oh, I found this data on TMZ, I'm not going to believe your data, right? Or rather, if you're saying, oh, this is actually a study that came from so-and-so hospital or so-and-so big research organization, or maybe a college, and they did the study for the last 5 years, and that is how this data came out, then I may be like, okay, you know what, this makes sense because this data seems legit because the source is something which I can trust. So my recommendation is there, like, I see your secondary research, it seems like a finding, but always like put your methods and sources, because currently I don't know whether I can trust this or not. That is one. And can you move to the next slides? The next one, because as I said, all these things are like straightforward for me. I don't have any problem with any of these things because it's super simple. It solves the problem that you initially said. For me, the biggest problem, as I said, would be like probably quoting those resources and methods. And the second one would be like, scalability. Yeah, that's something which probably you can add, like, hey, currently I'm covering for COVID, but this can be scaled up to any type of medication, any type of vaccine, so that we can like help people address those anxiety, people who have those confusions, people who do not know what's happening, whether I can trust this or not, right? All those questions can be like answered, not just for COVID vaccines, but also for other type of things. My biggest question is also, you mentioned slope, but like what stops a user from going to, let's just say, some kind of US government website, or maybe like a Canadian government website, or maybe like a Mayo Clinic, whatever is it, and getting the information from there, like how different is it provided here?
Well, what we noticed was like I did like an analysis of the writing quality on these sites. Don't get me wrong, they're very detailed and they provide a lot of information, but then it's like you're getting a lot of information at once. Like on the cdc.gov site, at least it was done as an FAQ and it hid the information behind accordions. But even then, you needed to know a lot of scientific background to be able to absorb the information that was there. And that was one of the problems that we noticed when we were reading the secondary research. There are several research papers covering people's interactions with these sites and some of the challenges with them. And with our site, what we were trying to do is to get that information and essentialize it, condense it, so that, in, I guess for lack of a better term, simple English, here's why it's important to get vaccinated. Here's some of the dangers that can come with getting COVID-19, because sometimes you're dealing with audiences where maybe they have limited English. Maybe they are not literate. Maybe they're set in their ways and they're like, oh, I don't want to go through all this stuff. Just give me the basic details, essential facts right there. So that's what I think distinguishes our concept from the existing sites, because you can go on Mayo Clinic and sure, you can search about COVID-19, but then if you don't have that medical knowledge, there's a risk that, oh, it might not be quite as clear what you need to know in regards to COVID-19, or it can end up turning some audiences off. They'll just be like, oh, this just goes on and on and on. Where am I going to get to the essential information that I need?
So the reason why I also asked that, because so recently during the COVID time, I worked with one of the biggest COVID vaccine company. I worked with them for like 1-2 years, and my company still works with them. Okay, I created all of their COVID vaccine websites and everything. Okay, globally, and any kind of medical information sites, it goes through an approval process. So you need to have certain level of language. You can dumb it down, but you cannot like super. So this is what like my understanding is. So have you like checked upon any of your information approval process? Because since you're handling medical information, so that's like one more question I had for you. Did you like check out any data about like if you're going to publish, if you're going to launch this product, is there a reason why all these medical information sites are being written in the way they are written? Because as you said, yes, even I have the problem. If let's just say I have cough and cold, I go to Mayo Clinic and I'm like, oh, I have a cough and cold, and they give me like 20 sentences, and I'm like reading, I don't understand half of the stuff they are saying. Agreed. But is there a reason why they write it in such a way? Maybe it is because they have like certain rules and regulations to follow, right? Because they need to like meet some criteria before they can publish information online. They cannot like publish information which people might understand in a wrong way. So that's one of the questions that I have. If you have not done it, that's totally fine. But in your case study, maybe like you can go and add that information as well. Like, hey, this is the style of content that I want to publish. I did my research. I did like what are the criteria involved with FDA or whatever is it, right, in your particular country when it comes to like launching medical information or content sites, and this is the style of content which I can publish because it's been like approved, right? So yeah, so that's one more recommendation for you from my side. Please check out that also, because this involves like medical content which are going to be consumed by general public. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Yeah, but overall, as I said, your design solution seems straightforward. So that's why I didn't have any problem with overall your process. Most of the questions I had was on, like, as I said, was on the content, was on the approval process, like how we can scale it, because I definitely do not want to create a product which would be like sunset very soon, right? Look, so obviously I want a product which can like scaled easily in future. My last question is also, oh God, I wrote it down. Now I can't understand my own handwriting. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay. My last question was, have you guys thought about, how you're going to make this website loyal or not loyal? Like how are you going to build trust for users, right? Because when it comes to big pandemic situations during the whole COVID, we did see it like clearly. People actually trusted. I wouldn't call it trust. Yes, like most people did not trust information that was being given out, even by government. But it seems to be like on a favorable condition, people seems to be like trusting like government websites, because it comes from the government, right? It comes from agencies which are launching those information for like general public. So they do trust the government over medical information, because they trust the government to do proper checks and verifications before they can say that information. Whereas people would not trust information that's on a private website. So in that case, I'm going to assume this website is going to be like private. So have you guys thought about like how what kind of how you're going to build a trust for customers to come and use your site?
That is actually a good question. I guess to me, I didn't see it as necessarily being a private private.
Yeah. I mean,
I saw it more so like a nonprofit project, because I
absolutely
like
absolutely
say projects around, like say getting people masks, for example. So I saw it more in that vein.
I agree. I mean, I think my choice of words were poor. When I said private, I definitely meant like, like non-profit or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to know, like, yeah, how did you guys like plan to place it? Like, did you guys The whole idea is to like work with the government, or like, because you said that by the end of this flow, users will be like taken to that government website, right? So yeah, so that's something to think on, because whenever we work with NGOs or like clients who want to do something for the community, it's always like helping them to build the trust, right? So it's also not just like purely launching the solution, like how we're going to position ourselves, how we're going to help customers to make sure that they trust our product to come and use it. That's something which we can also like think about. Yeah. But those are the things I had in my mind. And thanks for listening to me.
Yeah, I'll say like your questions were very insightful, especially the one about scalability. That was really interesting. But thank you for your feedback and critique.
No,
Yeah.
this has been awesome. As you said, this is a problem which I also face. So I totally understand, like why you did this. It's just like, as a designer, my questions is obviously going to be always about like how successful this can be, how scalable this can be, how can I make more users come and use it, right? So that's why my points were always like around that. And also like one more thing that I said, like interesting angle that for you to go and check out is like medical information site approval process. Inside US, it's like a lengthy process. They have like a lot of criteria. So when you said that information will be provided easy, there are like certain rules and regulations around that. So that's something to check on all about also.
I do have one last question. This is more in general. So when creating a medical information site, because I used to work for a clinical trial software company, do they have to go through the process of validation, like with health tech products, like say physical devices, mobile apps, desktop applications and the like? Is it similar to that process?
I think so. I mean, I'm not 100% sure about like physical medical devices and stuff, because like I worked with vaccines. So every information in the site has to go through like a set of approval process. So that means I cannot change things immediately. Like, hey, I missed a full stop. Oh, I need to change this word. Can I change it? No, it cannot be, because you have to go through the approval process again and again. So that means like all of our changes have to be like compounded into a single bucket, and then we would make all those changes. It's not as easy as me going to my let's just say a product website and changing things, right? So content has to be like packaged in such a way. It has to be like absolutely perfect before it goes through the approval process, because if it is not right, it will be rejected. Then you have to come back and fix it and do it all over again. But I'm not sure about the physical devices, because I've never worked with that one, but I did work with the vaccines for the COVID vaccine. So I know like that one we have to be like very careful. So it will go through first internal legal team. It will go through like SMEs. Then it will go through the set of like approval stages and all those things. So yeah, so that's why the content was like so important for us to like read and make sure that everything was like perfect. I'm not a total expert in writing medical content or this approval process, but based on my limited experience, I knew content was like super important, because government does, or you don't want to make any mistake, which would like set up your company for like lawsuits, right? Like, hey, your company said I can do this, this, and this, and based on this, I went home, I did this, I bought your drug, blah blah blah, and then finally it didn't work out. So now you have a lawsuit on you, right? So that's why medical information sites, we have to be like very careful about like what we write and what we tell to users. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, well, that was very insightful, and it was great hearing that aspect of the information. Thank you so much, Halliq.
No, thank you, Maggie. This has been a nice presentation. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Halliq, for all the detailed information about all the medical and healthcare industry, which, like, since you have worked with the vaccination companies and all, you have all the detailed information. But like we also, as a different user, we really got to know about like all these small things, like about like the like government all those areas, something like that, I can say. And yep, great. Really amazing project that you have worked on. Team 15, congratulations. Really good project. And I can say like hats off to you guys, like such a different topic altogether you have selected. like it was a learning platform and you guys would like to go ahead with the you have chosen a topic from the healthcare industry, something like that. So it's kind of a mixture, but like such an interesting topic. Great, nice job. Good work. Okay, so I guess for today we are good with both the teams and such a great presentation from all the team members. Lise, I see that you have some questions. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask questions?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
I don't know, I just was thinking about the last group, the job, the team 15. I was a little concerned about the solution they presented at the end, because all this started from the persona saying, from your research saying people feel very anxious about getting the vaccine, and they are not sure, and they are very they are skeptical. But then the first thing I saw in your solution is get your vaccine here, get your appointment here. So I'm not sure how your solution is actually solving that problem of people getting a little unsure about getting the vaccine. So I will expect you to do maybe some user testing after this and see how these maybe anti-vax people are reacting to your site. That will be an interesting finding. And the other thing, I will be very careful. I think you mentioned more than once, seeing like people who are feel anxious and all that are people maybe less educated, like non-college education and all that. I personally know many people with a very high level of education who are still very skeptical about the vaccine. So I will be careful to, when you define your personas for your case study, to do this profiling. Yes, that's all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lise. I guess Team 15 has many things to work on it, but it is really challenging for them also to check all these pointers, since like they have chosen a very interesting and very difficult topic and challenging topic, which we can say. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you, Lise, for sharing your insights.
Hey everyone, on behalf of IterateUX, we would like to thank you so much for watching this week's event. If you like the content, please leave a like and subscribe. We'll have events every Thursday at 5:30 Pacific Time. Join our Discord in the description to find out more.